Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Photoshop Elements Custom Tutorials Group. And let's jump in with today's poster. I wanted to know how to create spotty splattered text. And basically, there's lots of different ways to do it. And the first easiest is to simply find text that looks splattered like this one. If I double click on this, if you look down here, this one is called RT Stamp Medium Regular. And that's basically one of my fonts that I've chosen. And I have several different ones that look a little splattered, but that's like one of the best examples. And if I type in anything else, all that text will look nice and spotty. That's the first way to do it. The second way, which is the harder way, is to create it yourself. So you want to pick some sort of nice thick text to work with. If we want to make this splattered, one particular way is by using filters, and it doesn't always work, but I found one way that kind of sort of looks okay. So what I want to first do is take that layer of the text and copy it. I'm going to right click, choose duplicate layer. And I'm going to turn off the top layer and work on the bottom layer first. And what we want to do is add a filter to it. So I'm going to come down here to from layers, move over here to filters. And now we got lots of different filters. If you click on the down arrow, you got lots of filters to choose from. We're going to come down here to pixelate. And within pixelate, there's one called pointillize. So it's at the very bottom right there. Pointillize. They come up with some crazy names. We click that and it's going to say this layer must be simplified. That's one thing that's really important is Elements won't let you do any effects while it's text. So I have to hit OK to change it from text to graphic image. I'll hit OK. And now I can choose pointillize. And there you go. There's different cell sizes. It's at number 5. If I bring up the slider here, you can see it, each of the cell size as it's getting bigger here. That's at 48 points. If I go up to 115, you can see it's starting to like shatter and break apart, which is exactly kind of what we want. I'm going to just, for purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to say right at 100 point. And that looks pretty good. Now we don't really want it to look uniform in the splatter technique. We're going to bring back the previous black layer, which is right there. So right now we have one layer on top of another layer. Let's take that top layer. I can toggle it on and off, and you can see the bottom splat layer is there. Let's take that top layer and come over to the eraser. Then come down here to the erasers and pick this top left one, which is a standard eraser. So I'm going to go to default and then pick a soft brush. I'll scroll to about right here, 17 point. Now that's way too small. Let's change the size to, let's say, 150 point. And that's a good size. Now as I erase that top layer, you're going to see the bottom layer underneath. And once again, that top layer needs to be simplified. I'll just hit OK. And then we can just do a little bit of dabbing here and there, and that lets the bottom layer sort of show through at certain points. And just kind of randomly go through your whole text. And I can even bring the size a lot bigger, like 350, and then make the opacity down to 50%, let's say, and do a dot here and a dot there. And that'll slowly allow some of the lower splattering show through, but not too much that it looks uniform. And there we have some splatting. Now, if you really want to dirty it up even more, which may affect the edges, you can go over to smudge and pick a nice sized smudge like 300 here and just carefully do a little bit of smudging of that bottom of the two layers. And that'll give you a little bit of offsetting on each layer. And this might be a little bit too much for you to handle here, but it's entirely up to you how much you want to distort the text here. And that kind of messes it up a little bit and dirties it up. And now we have yet one more way to be able to make a splatter spotty text. So we got our text layer here. What I'm going to do is copy it. You don't have to copy it for this, but I'm going to do it just in case we want to hide some of the splatter. So I'm going to right click and hit duplicate the layer. I'll turn off the top layer and let's work on the bottom layer first. And basically what we want to do is just use a brush. So we're going to come over here to the brushes and come down here to the brush section. When you click on the down arrow, it shows us that we're on the default brushes, which is the round edged hard brushes. But if you scroll down, you can get into the soft brushes. But what we want to do is click on that down arrow and choose dry media brushes, which is, if you scroll down, you'll see it. And within the dry media brushes, we're going to scroll down near the bottom and look for one that looks like a broken up charcoal. It might be in a different place on your particular computer. They don't seem to have names. They have numbers here, which I'm not sure what the numbers mean because a lot of them have the same number. Like this one, number 5 is also here and also here. But if you scroll down near the bottom, there's this one here that looks like broken up charcoal. I'm going to click on that and come back, and I'm going to change the font size from 5 to 500. Now come over here, and I'm just going to carefully and be ready to do Control Z to delete because some of these splats won't look good. But I'm just going to do one little click right there. I'll do another click right there, and I'll just move it a tiny bit, move the mouse a tiny bit as you're clicking, and it'll create other splats. Like that one's too hard. I'm going to undo that and do it again like this, and do another one that's kind of like that broken. See, that's too much. I'll undo that and redo it up here, and you can see, oop, that's way too much, and do that like right there. And if I want to break it up a little bit, I can change this 500 to 1000 and add a different layer of other splats to kind of make sure everything is all covered up. And that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty splatty. If I move the mouse too much, sometimes it'll be too harsh. So then you just undo that. And you could do on top of each other like that. And that's looking pretty good. That's pretty splattered. Now, all we have to do is you can use the fonts just as it is like that, or we can bring back the top layer. If we want to soften that up, bring back the top layer by turning on the icon right here, and then lessen the opacity of that top layer, which I'm going to do about 50%. You see what's happening is it lightens up the whole effect, so it's not quite as harsh of a splash. So some of it's a little darker gray. If you want some of it to stand out, then you can just take the eraser and let's get a big, this is like a 500 point font, and just tap every once in a while here wherever you see more splats than less, which will give a few highlights on some of those splats. And there we go. That's our final way that we can add splatter to text. That's looking really good. And now you can use that anywhere. Now, if I try to move that around, you see what it did is it brought over the effect. I'm going to undo that. So what you want to do is grab all that and then right click and do merge layers right here, merge layers. Now the effect is married into that text. And there you have it. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Rich calling it quits, saying over and out.